If you've ever been to a summer camp, you know how quickly it starts to feel like its own little world. No phones. No traffic. No city lights. Just endless trees, quiet water, and the feeling that once the sun goes down, you're completely cut off from the rest of the world. When I was 16, my parents sent me to a 2-week summer camp in northern Maine. The camp sat beside a huge lake surrounded by dense pine forest. There were 12 cabins. At least, that's what everyone said. On our first afternoon, the camp director gathered us near the dining hall. Before sending us off, he gave us one final rule. If you ever see a light across the lake after lights out. He paused. Close your curtains and stay inside. Everyone laughed. Someone asked, "Aren't there only trees over there?" Mr. Collins smiled. "There are." Then he walked away. That answer stayed with me. The first night, I woke sometime after 2 in the morning. The camp was completely silent. No voices. No insects. Only the sound of water brushing against the shoreline. Then I noticed a warm yellow light shining through my window. I pulled back the curtain. Across the lake, a small wooden cabin stood among the trees. A single porch light glowed in the darkness. It hadn't been there earlier. I stared for almost a minute. Then the light suddenly went out. The cabin disappeared into the darkness. The next morning, I asked another camper named Jake if there was anything across the lake. He frowned. Nothing but forest. A counselor overheard us. "You must have been dreaming." His smile disappeared almost as quickly as it appeared. The second night, the light returned. Exactly 2:03 a.m. This time I woke Jake. He looked through the window. His face lost all color. "You see it too?" He nodded. Neither of us slept again. The following afternoon, we borrowed a canoe. We told the counselors we wanted to fish along the shoreline. Instead, we paddled straight toward the opposite side of the lake. The crossing felt wrong. From camp, the shore looked only a few hundred yards away. But we paddled for nearly half an hour before reaching land. Hidden behind thick pine trees stood the same weathered cabin. A rotten wooden sign hung beside the door. Painted across it, 13, Jake whispered, "There are only supposed to be 12. The front door creaked open with almost no effort. Dust covered every surface. Broken bunk beds filled the room. Spider web stretched across the ceiling. Everything looked abandoned for years. Except a lantern sitting on the porch was still warm. Inside, we found a stack of old journals. The newest one was dated 1989. The oldest, 1964, each belonged to a different camper. At first, every journal described ordinary camp life. Swimming, campfires, archery. Then the entries changed. Every writer noticed the same thing. Each night, a cabin appeared across the lake. Each morning, everyone insisted it had never been there. One journal ended with a sentence written so hard it had torn through the paper. Asterisk, if they count 13 cabins, someone is always left behind. Asterisk, neither of us spoke. Then, crunch. A footstep outside. Another. Crunch. They stopped directly outside the door. Someone tried the handle. Slowly. Once. Twice. Jake grabbed my arm. We climbed through a broken window and ran into the woods. Branches tore at our clothes as we sprinted toward the lake. When we finally reached the canoe and looked back, Cabin 13 was gone. There was nothing there. Only trees. That evening, the counselors never asked where we'd been. It was as if they already knew. The next morning, every camper gathered for roll call. Mr. Collins smiled as he read each cabin. Cabin 1. Cabin 12. He looked down at his clipboard. Counted again. Then smiled even wider. Perfect. I counted the campers. Then, I noticed someone standing at the very back. A teenage boy wearing an old camp uniform. His clothes looked decades out of date. His face was pale. He wasn't speaking to anyone. Nobody looked at him. Nobody seemed to notice he was there. I whispered to Jake. "Who's that?" Jake looked confused. "Who?" "The boy at the back." Jake stared exactly where I was pointing. "There isn't anyone there." The boy slowly turned toward me. He smiled. Then raised one finger to his lips. Shoo, that night, Jake and I packed our bags. We weren't waiting until morning. As we reached the camp entrance, a voice drifted across the lake. Soft. Children laughing. We turned. Cabin 13 had returned. Its porch was brightly lit. Dozens of children stood silently outside. Some wore uniforms from the 1960s. Others from the 70s. The 80s. Every decade. None of them moved. None of them blinked. They simply stared across the water. Waiting. Jake suddenly took a step toward the lake. Then another. It was as if he couldn't hear me calling his name. I grabbed him and pulled him backward with everything I had. The instant he stumbled away, every porch light went out. The children vanished. The lake fell silent. My parents picked me up the next morning after I begged them to come early. As we drove away, the camp looked completely normal. 12 cabins. Happy campers. Bright sunshine. Years later, I searched for the camp online. It had permanently closed after the summer of 1990. The official reason was financial problems. But buried inside an old newspaper archive was a report about the camp's final season. It mentioned 12 children who had disappeared over the years and were never found. Attached to the article was the last known group photograph taken before the camp closed. I counted the campers. 72. Then I counted again. 73. Standing alone at the back, smiling directly at the camera, was the same boy who had smiled at me during roll call. The caption listed every camper by name. Everyone had been identified except him. The campfire story nobody told. If you've ever been to summer camp, you know every Friday night ends the same way. Everyone gathers around a campfire. The counselors tell scary stories. And every camper pretends they aren't scared. The summer I turned 16, my parents sent me to Camp Alder, a remote camp hidden deep in the forests of Oregon. There was no cell service. The nearest town was over an hour away. Once the buses left, the camp felt completely cut off from the rest of the world. Every Friday, the oldest counselor, Mr. Harris, told the final story of the night. The campers said he'd been working there for over 30 years. He never smiled while telling a story. He never needed to. On my second Friday at camp, everyone gathered around the fire just after sunset. The flames crackled. The trees swayed in the wind. Mr. Harris slowly stood up and looked around the circle. Then he quietly said, "Tonight, we're not telling the story." Everyone laughed. One camper shouted, "So why are we here?" Mr. Harris didn't answer. He simply sat back down and stared into the fire. For almost a full minute, nobody spoke. Then, I heard someone whisper, "The story has already begun." The voice wasn't loud. It sounded like someone sitting just behind me. I turned around. Nobody was there. The counselors didn't react. Neither did most of the campers. I convinced myself I'd imagined it. The next morning, a boy named Liam slipped from the old canoe dock and broke his wrist. It was strange, because just before the whisper faded the night before, I'd thought I heard it say, "Tomorrow, someone will fall." That evening, I couldn't stop thinking about it. After lights out, I heard the whisper again. This time it came from outside my cabin window. "Cabin 9 won't sleep tonight." I looked outside. Nothing. The next morning, everyone in cabin 9 complained they'd been awake all night because someone kept knocking on their door. No counselor admitted hearing anything. By now I knew I wasn't imagining it. I told my friend Noah. Before I could finish explaining, he interrupted. "You heard it too?" He looked terrified. He admitted he'd heard the same whisper. So had 2 other campers. Nobody else believed us. Every night the voice returned. Each time, another prediction. Each time, it came true. A counselor got lost on a hiking trail he'd walked for years. A flagpole collapsed minutes after campers walked away from it. A tree crashed across the only road leading out of camp. None of the events were impossible. Just impossible to predict. After the 4th whisper, Noah and I searched the camp's old storage cabin. We found boxes filled with photographs dating back decades. Every summer. Every group picture. Something felt wrong. Each photo showed one camper standing slightly apart from everyone else. A different face every year. Nobody was looking at them. Nobody was standing beside them. On the back of every photograph, one name had been scratched out so deeply the paper had almost torn. We showed the photos to Mr. Harris. The color drained from his face. He quietly took the box from our hands. "You shouldn't have found these." "Who are they?" I asked. Mr. Harris stared toward the lake. "They're the last chapter." Before we could ask what that meant, he walked away. The following Friday arrived. Nobody wanted to attend the campfire. But every camper was told attendance was mandatory. We sat in complete silence. Mr. Harris never stood up. He simply stared into the flames. Then the whisper returned. Only this time, everyone heard it. One story remains. The fire suddenly burned brighter. Far brighter than it should have. Without anyone adding wood. The whisper continued. Before sunrise, one camper will leave. And no one will remember they were ever here. The fire went out instantly. Darkness swallowed the clearing. Someone screamed. When the counselors finally relit the fire, one chair was empty. Nobody reacted. Nobody even looked at it. I whispered to Noah, "Who's missing?" He frowned. "What do you mean?" "There was someone sitting there." There wasn't. I knew there had been. I just couldn't remember who. That night, I packed my bag. I wasn't staying another minute. As I walked toward the camp entrance, I passed the old campfire circle. Someone was sitting beside the cold ashes. It was Mr. Harris. He looked exhausted. Older than I'd ever seen him. Without looking at me, he quietly said, "You heard the whole story." "What story?" "The one nobody tells." I asked him who had disappeared. He closed his eyes. After a long silence, he answered, "I don't remember anymore." The next morning my parents picked me up early. I never returned to Camp Alder. Years later, I discovered the camp had closed permanently. Officially, because of financial problems. While searching old newspaper archives, I found one final group photograph from the year I attended. Everyone from my cabin was there, including me. I counted the campers. 43. But the attendance record listed only 42 names. One name had been scratched out. Exactly like the older photographs. Then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Standing at the very edge of the picture, was Mr. Harris. He wasn't facing the camera. He was looking at someone standing just outside the photograph. Someone the camera had never captured. And written beneath the picture, in faded handwriting, were 6 words. "Next Friday, someone else will listen."